Hello and blessings, beautiful souls. Sarava and I share to you. How are you today? I have an October favorites video for you. I would love to be able to make more favorites video. I just get so busy and I sort of miss the opportunity, but we are in early November, in fact, on the 5th of November. So I feel like I can still get in there with an October favorites. It's just going to be a little bit late. So I have here 3 books, 3 decks. I have 3 oils. Wow, there's a pattern. 1 water, 1 spray, 2 items of jewelry, not jewelry, 1 crystal and 2 powders. And quite frankly, I'm excited to be able to share these with you. So let's start off with jewelry. So this beautiful piece of aquamarine here is something that was around my neck for a long time. I took my time in trying this one out and wearing it, and I found like it brought me a lot of peace, a lot of serenity. It was a very unique experience to work with this stone, and I had it around my neck for a good period of time. This was a Witch's Bounty pendant, and I'm just, you know, I'm just really fond of it now. It is a rough piece and it is beautiful. It's not one of those types of items that attracts a lot of attention, but those who are a little bit more discerning, they come right in and they go, oh wow, what kind of stone is that? And then you can have that conversation. But I had a really nice time utilizing this one around my neck, and the kids really loved it. It's very light to wear as well, which I enjoyed for a change. And yeah, I just had a really good experience with this. It brought in some really celestial style vibes, brought in a bit of levity as well, like a crisp clearness. Really interesting. It brought in a lot of interesting energy. The next crystal that I wanted to show you, or pendant that I wanted to show you, is around my neck right now. I'm going to reach in so that you can have a little bit of a look. I'm wearing it right now. And it's been around my neck, and this is the back of it because the back of it is just pretty. There we go. I've been wearing it for a while now, and I love the way that it feels when I hold on to it. I don't know when I'm going to be taking it off. I've got some really nice pieces to try, but I like to spend time with the Witch's Bounty pendants that I really, really genuinely like, and give them that opportunity to, I don't know, work their magic on me, I suppose. And this one's definitely doing just that. I don't know exactly how to explain this crystal, but I do know that it's left me excited and enthusiastic, and it's helped to diffuse some of the stress that I've been feeling, and that's helpful. And so yeah, this is I can't remember what it's called. Aqua, I don't know. It's a bonded quartz. Usually I think that's made with gold or titanium, I can't be certain. But it's a really interesting pendant. It's got a lovely shape, and I'm just really loving using it. From crystal to crystal, let's do that. I have been loving this piece of fluorite. This fluorite wand. I have been using this fluorite wand in the most peculiar ways, primarily to carve candles because it has the most delicious point. It is polished but matte finish. It's not super shiny, and I do believe this came in a Witch's Moon creation of some description. And I love it, and it sits at the very front of my altar, and I reach for it a lot of the times. It was going to end up being paired with a crystal, but I found it such a functional stone that I didn't want to lose it to a, when I said pairing with one of my crystals, I meant one of my decks. It was going to end up being paired with one of my decks is what I meant. But yes, I couldn't lose it to that, so I decided to pair that particular deck with another stone altogether, and to keep that one at arm's reach so that I could utilize it a lot more for weird and wonderful ways. Witchcrafting, right? All right, I'm gonna move on to some books now, and some of these books, well, one of these books I flat out read all throughout, not all throughout, I read it in 2 days, less than 2 days in October. One I'm still reading, and one I'm almost finished with. So I wanted to talk about them because they all left an impression on me. These are not the only books that entered my life during the month of October. The other 2 that really did enter my life during the month of October, I did not like. So let's talk about the ones that I did like. So I'm reading Honoring the Ancestors, A Guide to Ancestral Veneration by Mallorie Vaudoise. I've been talking about this one a lot. It's one that I acquired for the Magical Library, which is my Patreon book club, and I'm loving this book. I have not been this excited, this happy, this delighted with a type of witchcraft, mind, body, and spirit reference book, or a Llewellyn book for that matter, in a long time. This is a really succinct, informational exchange. It's not grandiose in its ideas. It's not your typical neo-pagan European perspective. It's got a little bit of African diaspora in there as well. And Mallorie herself, which is the author of the book, is an Olodisha priestess. And so she's bringing in some ideas, some ideologies, philosophies, and techniques that I can get more into because she's speaking more my language, and I appreciate that. So I am really, really enjoying this book. I'm still not even halfway through it, and I still had to put it out here as a October favorites because of the way that I was so delighted. I've said recently that I'm a bit disenfranchised, disenchanted, if you will, with witchcraft reference material, these types of witchy reads. I'm not happy with how they're coming out. I find them to be really like, let's not be negative about it. I'm not happy, but this book was really, really, really delightful in a surprise, and as such had to be featured in my favorites. The next book that I'm going to show you is one that I devoured in less than 48 hours, and that pulled me out of my 6-year reading slump. That is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is a romantic comedy. It's fun, it's sassy, it's witty, it's got the right amount of smuttiness in there for good measure. Likes to quote a little bit of Harry Potter, which I can totally get behind. It's that mid-adult kind of genre, and it has some really interesting plot points within the book that sort of complement the story and that make it just a bit more substantial. And so this book really just it let me have a holiday and a really good time. And because it is a romantic comedy, the trope was enemy to lovers. I got right behind that. I was really excited for it, in fact, and I was waiting for it to develop, and I was like, yes, when it finally did develop. I was quite emotionally invested in this book in the end. So Christina Lauren is a dual author duo, and they are responsible for quite a few titles in the romantic comedy genre. So if you are interested in something like this, do check them out. I absolutely loved this book, and this one inspired me to purchase another book that I haven't read yet, but I may end up reading throughout the month of November. So I'm excited. The next book, I almost completely finished it in October, but I've still got 100 pages left because life got really busy towards the last couple of days. And that is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. I don't know how to pronounce her name, so I'm not even going to pretend. But I've got about 100 pages left to read, and I have been so enchanted with this story. The story itself is another, enemies to lovers trope. It talks of a witch hunter and a witch, and they are thrust together in holy matrimony, and then a bunch of really interesting plot points begin to emerge, and you start to get really carried away in the story, very invested in the characters as well. The lead in this particular story is Lou, who is the witch, but nobody knows she's a witch except for her best friend. And she is, unfortunately embroiled in a situation that leads her to being married to the captain of the witch hunters. And that's where all the chaos, that's when all the chaos begins to unravel. She's hiding a sordid dark path, and she's hiding from someone. So it's a really, really tantalizing story, and one that I'm so behind, I am desperate to finish it. And that is exactly what I'm going to do after I finish this video and then go and do some edits. So very excited. Serpent and Dove comes with my highest recommendations. If you're a witch, you are going to love this read. It's supposed to be a YA novel, but it is very heavy in its themes. So someone needs to reclassify this book. I don't know why that bothers me so much, but it surely does. Nevertheless, extraordinary plot points. When I say extraordinary, I mean that lightheartedly. Don't hold me to that, but it's just got a really, really interesting evolution to the story, and some really dramatic aspects that that are very triggering. It talks about persecution, it talks about sexism, it talks about it talks about intolerance, it talks about abandonment issues. There are so many themes throughout this book that get you thinking, and it makes for a really interesting story. So there you have it, Serpent and Dove. Right, so from paper to paper, we are going to go to decks now. So the deck that I have been working with most closely is one that I unboxed. I think it might have been in October, I'm not sure. But it is the Everyday Witch Tarot. The Everyday Witch Tarot. This deck came with the highest recommendation of my bestie, Alora, and she made me do it despite the fact that the artwork is absolutely not my style in the slightest. I mean, the artwork is very, I don't know, it's very drawn, and while it is in its own way, that's upside down, sorry about that. While it is in its own way, I don't really like that card, but whatever. Yeah, it's charming, it's pretty, it's all of those things, but I didn't like the stereotypical conical hat, and I don't know, there was something about it that really irked me. And is that upside down? No, that's just the 3. There we go. And it was just, it's proved to be a really good reader, a really good all-rounder style of read. I remember initially being somewhat distracted by the artwork, the theme, you know, the perpetual conical hat. I'm just like, why? Like, why do they go there? Nevertheless, once I managed to push past that annoyance, I managed to find a deck that had a very clear voice, really, really easy reader, kind of got a sassy edge to it, very matter-of-fact kind of a deck. And I started to really enjoy using it, to the point that I started to just naturally reach for it over the herb crafters, which I've barely, you know, dipped into. Which is astounding because I was so interested in using that one. So maybe November is going to be herb crafters for me, but I found myself reaching for it more and more and just building up that comfortability with the deck. So I've been having some really good experiences. It hasn't boggled me in any way. It's kind of complemented my reading style, ironically enough. It's paired with lava rock in case anybody cares. And so, yeah, that's the Everyday Witch Tarot. It does have a guidebook. I don't care about it. Next is the Maiden Oracle by Layla and Olive. And the Maiden Oracle is a quirky little oracle deck that is part oracle deck, part major arcana, and there is a bunch of Greek goddess cards thrown in there for a really good measure. Now, this is the 3rd deck from the Layla and Olive brand, and they tend to go for these beautiful botanical style decks. That's kind of their brand, and I have been having such a good time with this. It brings through a really profound message I've discovered, and when used in conjunction with a tarot reading, you almost need another oracle deck to come in, because this is like, it just follows the tarot and then you need another oracle. It's weird because it does have a tarot style element in there. When you use it and a major arcana comes that you have seen in the same tarot reading, you're like, well, that's a fortification of that message. And so it's proved to be really quirky in that regard. And so that is the Maiden Oracle. Nice, beautiful gilded edges, beautiful backing. Maiden deck. Yes, the Maiden Oracle by Layla and Olive. It's paired with a lepidolite, I think. That's a piece of lepidolite. I think that is. The last deck that I'm going to show you is a Majors Only deck. It is the German version of the Unsata Tarot. I couldn't be more disappointed with the backing of this deck. I mean, can we not? And so this one sort of piqued my attention many, many years ago, and I just refused to acquire it because I don't work with Majors Only decks until about a couple of months ago, where I decided that I loved this one so much that I had to find a way to be able to work with it and enjoy it, and for it to be able to show me its magic. And wow, did that take place the way that I wanted it to. And so it becomes an opener for some of my tarot readings now. I use it a lot in spirit work sessions. When I want an overarching theme, because it's a Majors Only, I feel like it's really good at achieving that. And I love the artwork. The fact that it's German doesn't bother me in the slightest. But I ended up getting that one on I think it was on a Facebook group ages ago, and I'm finally getting to it now, and I'm having a really good time with it. All right, we are now moving on to oils, and I have 3 oils here. The first one is a Juniper Moon Van oil. Look at that bad boy. Look at that bad boy. And I want you to look through the back of it to just to see the gorgeousness that it has. Like, it's got these beautiful little flakes of just yumminess in it. Definite lemongrass in there, which tends to be the active ingredient. Oh, it's good. It's so good. I have been loving this oil. I've been adding it to just about every single one of my spell candles, and guys, I rock spell candles. They're all going right now. And so Van oil, I was encouraged to get Van oil. I had been for a while, and I realized that I did have a really good one that came from Conjured Cardia, but there was a mishap and I lost that one, the contents of the bottle that is. And so I decided to acquire another, and I am not disappointed with it because Juniper does excellent work. Before I show you that one, I'm going to show you this one here, which is another Juniper oil, and it's Abramelon oil, which smells like autumn should smell. Put it that way. It's such a yummy smell. It is this occult oil, and it is the type of oil that you use to anoint your magical tools. And so I rub it on myself, on my hands, and then I rub my hands on my decks or my crystals and things like that, just to give it a little something extra. And I have got to say that it packs a wild punch. If you have been wanting something like this, I highly recommend this oil, and I highly recommend this brand. It smells so good. Oh, it's that clove, cinnamon, rich kind of yummy smell that everyone needs in their life. Like, it's really sultry and just delicious. The next oil that I'm going to show you is Psychic Visions and Spirit Oil, and this oil was made by the House of Hoodoo. So my beautiful friend Shannon, who is also on YouTube, I'll leave a link to her channel in the description bar below. She went to New Orleans and she's like, do you want me to bring you back something? And I'm like, have all my money. And so she ended up going into the House of Hoodoo in person and selecting items for me and then mailing them down to me after she arrived. And this Psychic Spirit Oil is one that I use for my spirit work sessions and tarot readings to anoint my third eye. It smells divine. It smells absolutely divine. And it is a beautiful oil to do just that type of job. I find myself extraordinarily lightheaded after I've used it, and I really get a clear spirit hit, and it's really good for kind of pushing me over the line. So let's say I don't like to do spirit work sessions if I'm not feeling 100% in alignment, and sometimes I'm just a little bit tired and I need a little bit of something to get into it. And so I anoint my third eye with this, and I give it a minute, and then suddenly I'm there and I'm floating through the ethers, and it's wonderful. So I love that oil. Right, from oils to spray. I was going to say sprays, but there is only one. I am currently working with Nonna's Garden Potion, and this one here is by Earthy Alchemy. And I've got to say that Nonna's Garden Potion is a healing and clearing spray that smells so fragrant, and it's really great for using on and around my altar and on and around myself as well. I've had such a lovely time with this particular spray. I've also been using Sacred Temple and Chakra Balancer, but I tend to use this as a clearing type of experience. So I tend to prepare the space with, you know, with smoke and with hydrosols, with spritzer sprays, and it creates a really nice ambiance. I really like it, and I have been reaching for it pretty regularly, which is why I leave it right on my altar so that I can do just that. Another lovely creation from Earthy Alchemy is this rose water. Now, some might say there's nothing special about rose water. I beg to differ. Roses are the bomb, and I like to wet the palms of my hands just before I'm going to do a spirit work session or when I'm preparing my hands to do witchcraft. It's a way of preparing my body, and I really love using this rose water. I was thinking of ways that I could use that rose water, and I'm like, hang on one damn minute. Let's think about this in a totally different way. And it purifies the hands, and it's something that I'm I'm so into doing right now, and I'm worried that I'm gonna run out. I only use a dab, that's all you need. And yeah, it creates such a beautiful experience. So definitely a favorite of mine, definitely a favorite. Okay, so last but by no means least, I have 2 powders. This one here is Forvel. I don't know how to pronounce it. Do it now, do it as I say, do it with force. So when I need to get things across the line, and right now I'm not using these for any kind of macabre reasons. I'm trying to moderate the amount of sugar that I take, and so I'm using this primarily on myself. And I'm in the process of engaging in a 9-day sacrifice to Odin, and so I'm using it on myself. Fantastic powder. It was created from by the House of Hoodoo as well, and it is ultra fine. It's ultra fine, and it's pink. It is pink. And a purpley pink at that, like a lilac-y color even. And so I've been really getting back into powders. It actually put a childlike smile on my face to be back into powders, because powders were my first real love as far as independent magic goes, because a lot of what I used as far as magic items and tools were very present in my household, but I remember going out with my own pocket money to the Magicka store and getting myself, the Macumba store, and getting myself some love powder. That's where 11, 12-year-old Avalon, you know, went at that time. Like, oh. And I used to love it. Rub it on my hands, shake the hands of the boys that I was interested in. I'm ruled by Venus, folks. So romantic at heart. And what can I say? I was very, very much interested in boys. And yeah. So I'm back there with my love of powder. I'm still interested in boys, but that boy just happens to be my husband now. So the next powder that I'm going to show you, and yes, it's another powder, is one that was created by Juniper Moon, and it is a money drawing powder, which I have been trying out. And it is packaged in beautiful paper, and it is ultra fine. I believe there is some bentonite clay. That's how it looks right there. And it just, oh, fine powder. Look at that. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Let's sprinkle that on me. Bring in the money. And I have been loving the use of this powder. I've been using it, believe it or not, in conjunction with the money oil, which I probably should have shown as well, because I wanted to know if it was that good. This money oil just looks like everything I never knew I always wanted. I'm doing this so awkwardly. Wait, honorable mention here. There we go. It's so good. So that's the money, that's the money oil, not the money drawing oil. That's the money oil, and this is the money powder. And I'm winding up to the end of the year, and I've been using it because we have renovations, like hefty renovations to do to one of the houses that we are acquiring, and I've got to say that it is going to use a lot of our money, and so I wanted to make sure that I had my finances locked down. We're also at the end of the year and preparing for kids, you know, presents and to pay their tuition at their private school next year. Again, locking down that finance. So I have been doing a little bit of money magic, and I've been using those ingredients as a result, and they've been proving to be very, very, very good at what they are doing. So there you have it. And that, my friends, is the entirety of the video. We are now at the end of the video. I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed this October favorites, and if you have, give it a really good thumbs up. Comment below what was your favorite, and I will consider doing another one next month. How's about them apples? So there you have it, beautiful souls. I'll be talking to you soon. Take care. Much love, many blessings. Mwah!